Gelich, have you been concerned about malnutrition?
Of course I am concerned, because dehydration produces a lot of deficiencies of amino acids, because the body throws some of its essential amino acids at the acid. For example, we become tryptophan deficient, tyrosine deficient, methionine deficient, glycine deficient as a result of dehydration. You need to replace some of these elements in the diet. And people who are elderly, I always recommend that they should increase their water intake gradually. I never recommend that they should immediately go on to 8 glasses of water. And I always say they should also adjust their mineral intake, because that is how the body corrects dehydration. Water by itself in the elderly may not be entirely sufficient. We need to give them the minerals that their body will have lost.
Go ahead, Bob. I can see you. I know you want
to. Okay, the elderly, a big problem with the elderly is Alzheimer's.
Yes.
Now, every doctor knows basically a person with Alzheimer's, their brain shrinks. Well, if your brain is 85% water, what do you suppose it causes it to shrink? And I've never heard of anybody with Alzheimer's that drank much water. We're basically not talking rocket science. If I'm going to do an interview, and I think I told you this before, well, Women's World last year, September 4th, we had the front cover and the big spread on the WaterCure. The feature person on that was Amy Bianc, who called me in January of last year. And everybody out here in Chicago is talking about the WaterCure. We want to talk to you about it. And the stories are just phenomenal. I said, have you had any personal experience? She said, no. I said, there's no way you can do a really great interview. But I said, if you check a few things, talk to your audience about asthma, allergies, chronic fatigue, depression, anxiety, arthritis, and all digestive problems, and throw in weight loss. Do that for 2 weeks, and you'll be so excited, your audience will be so excited that we'll set an all-time record on that station. At any rate, and I said, depression is the easiest. I said, the worse it is, the better, because it usually takes 2 days to get rid of severe depression. At any rate, she called me back in 12 days. Bob, one word, miraculous. She says, I even lost 8 pounds in the 12 days.
But again, Bob, that comes back to, and I have to ask the question, it's not just the water, it's the elimination of caffeine, it's the elimination of alcohol, so there are other factors that come into play, again, which all seem to be very common sense types of things, things that these two doctors have probably been telling their patients for years to do. Cut down on smoking, don't drink 15 cups of coffee a day, and you know, stay away from alcohol.
But you go with the basics, you go with the key, the foundational value, oxygen, water, and salt. You know, with your car, you check the oil and water before you start tearing it apart. I can't tell you how many people have come in to our store asking for information, and you look at some of them, they look like roadkill. I mean, they got the raccoon eyes, their skin is all dried out, and they've got all these illnesses. I said, you drink any water? No. Did your doctor tell you to drink any water? No. They're living on caffeine. I said, what's going on here? We're not talking rocket science. We're talking simple common sense.
Well, Dr. Brown, if I came to you and I said all I do is drink coffee, soda, and alcoholic beverages, you'd probably look at me and say, well, you need to make a change.
You get whatever you pay. I would only point out that we are looking at literally millions of years of evolution of water homeostasis in the organism, and there are intricate mechanisms that tell us that we're thirsty and that regulate salt and water balance, and they've served the organism well. It's it's evolved, and I don't know what Tyrannosaurus Rex had for salt and water metabolism, but we were probably a little more advanced than that.
We are throwing at people who are short of the water and salt. We are throwing at them sodas through advertising constantly.
But again, I'd go back to, I think a lot of this was prompted, I guess, by Dr. Valton's article in the American Journal of Physiology, which I did happen to look at, in which he raises the same issue, that the body is able to extract the free water out of those things.
No, it's not.
Well, and some of this diuresis, if you drink a cup of coffee, for example, I agree that caffeine is a diuretic. There's no question about that. But you will probably retain some of the free water, and we'd have to look at that very objectively and scientifically.
Well, and Doctor, before we move on, I'm going to ask our director to bring up a quote from Dr. Valton, who is at Dartmouth University, related to the use of coffees, teas, and sodas, and a study that he just concluded that has been published this month specifically looked at the fact that the need for water is something that individuals can find in those areas. And he said that there is now strong scientific evidence that not all of the prescribed fluids need to be in the form of water. Colleagues have shown that caffeinated drinks, coffee, tea, soda, soft drinks should indeed count towards the daily fluid intake in the vast majority of people. Obviously, you don't agree with that, Doctor.
I like to know who funded his research.
Well, that's not a question that I have an answer to.
There you are. And also, Dr. Walton is in the wrong paradigm of science. The basic paradigm of science has changed. Because when I went to medical school and Dr. Brown went to medical school, we were taught that it's the solid matter that regulates all functions of the body. I have introduced a change in that paradigm. I've said that no, it's water that regulates all functions of the body,
and if
including the function of all the solid matter. And that was published as a guest lecture I gave at a cancer convention, and it's in anti-cancer research. The basic paradigm has changed, and this information was evaluated by one of the New York University professors, and they've agreed that we need to change the paradigm of science. It's no longer the solid matter that regulates functions of the body, it's water. So we have to make sure that the body is fully hydrated to function properly.
Well, we have obviously sparked a lot of interest in you out there. Our phone lines are full, and I'm going to spend the next few minutes going through some of the different callers, and we'll start with Pat, who is in 44. Pat?
Yes, I tried the water diet, 8 glasses a day, and what happened to me was my potassium level dropped dramatically. My doctor felt I drink a lot of milk also, that because of my small frame, 5 feet 3, 105 pounds, that was indeed too much water for me. So I never had a potassium problem before, so I cut it down to 4 glasses a day, 4 or 5 glasses a day in addition to the milk, and my potassium level went up.
So, Dr. Ben Mangelich.
She is advised to replace the minerals. Mm-hmm. Take juice, take orange juice, that's part of the program. Take some form of juice, take fruit, because 80% of food should consist of vegetables and fruit. 20% should be in form of proteins, such as meat or whatever else. If she would take a balanced diet, as it is part of the program, she would get enough potassium.
All right. Lena is with us in Kingston. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. I wanted to ask the doctor about getting started on his WaterCure, because I read in some of his articles that he suggests drinking half your body's weight in fluid ounces of water per day. And I was a little concerned about doing that since I am a larger sized person. I would assume if I drank that much water, I would start retaining it.
Actually, this amount of water is definitely needed for people who want to lose weight. We've had people who've lost 105 pounds, 126 pounds of weight in 1 year. The program is very successful in weight loss program. If she wants to lose weight, that is the only way to go.
Now, Dr. Brown, if that question had come to you, you would have probably made some other suggestions along with just water, I'm assuming.
Yeah, as far as the fact that she became hypokalemic or at a low potassium because of the increased water intake. Yeah, my gut feeling is that you know, I still think that the thirst mechanisms and the water metabolism that's in the human being, and the mechanisms to control water homeostasis that have evolved over the millions of years that organisms have evolved serve us very well. And I think that you need to drink when you're thirsty. And I understand that the doctor disagrees with me, but thirst is sort of the primer to make you drink water. And I think that there are you can actually overdrink water, as this caller has obviously pointed out.
No one said